All right, y'all. Take two. We were early.
Sunday.
Whatever. Our little streaming thing decided not to like my audio again. So fingers crossed that it actually works. But anyway, so hi again. Even though we were not muted, technically it was just the stream died. So with that adjustment, now we're late like usual. Whatever. So hi, I'm Theo. This is my partner Derek. We're the Heels of Time, and we're going to have a really killer episode, so to speak, today.
Most definitely.
We're not going to introduce it. It's going to be a little tricky.
Oh, sorry to talk over you, Theo.
It's all good.
As you join, please like, and if you share this post, you will get good karma for the rest of the day.
No, I mean, I would say at least the week.
For the whole week.
There we go. So, we got some selfish people, right? And people that like to dictate how things go.
Okay.
And like to rule lives. And people look up to them potentially, maybe look down on them, whatever. But they're super influential. And I think you're thinking what I'm thinking, Derek.
Well, I got this. This is Wheel of Time show. We talk about Wheel of Time facts.
Right.
So obviously you're talking about the Forsaken.
Am I?
Oh.
Tricks.
Horse.
Yes. Actually talking about the Greek gods of the Olympian.
Oh, I see what you did there.
Yeah, little juxtaposition there. So, yes, today's episode is going to be a brief introduction of our thoughts about the Olympians and the Forsaken. You're like, well, interesting, hopefully. And say, well, aren't the Forsaken bad?
Oh, most definitely.
Are they?
Well, from our point of view.
Right. You could say, well, the Greek Olympians, or you could almost say even the Roman, since they're based on each other, weren't they good? Ish. They did good things, but they punished. They were almost abusive in certain circumstances. Definitely male-driven. And
jealous, demanding.
Yep. All of our good and bad qualities as humans were also personified within really each of them.
But turned up to 11.
Right, because, they have gifted powers. If you look at the Forsaken, you could almost say the same thing. They weren't just like ghost beings. They were real at one point. And real in the terms of they were human-esque. If you didn't consider them humans. Again,
in the old Age of Legends, they would have had humanity.
Yeah.
At some. Yes, I agree.
And then, ironic, as a lot of historians and classical philosophers professors have said, there's always a bit of truth in myth, right? So if a god, maybe they did some crazy, crazy, awesome things as a human 5,000 years ago, and over time, that feat became, I caught a fish that was really this big, but it was this big. And the story just get wilder and wilder and then bigger and bigger, and then it just expanded out. Who's to say that some of these folks may not have been real?
Gotcha.
Like,
most definitely.
Way back. I remember talking way back.
There'd be no way to discern.
No. And as humanity progressed, if you didn't understand something, it was supernatural. Oh man, that thing made a big boom. That had to be Zeus. I had to be Zeus coming down. Or, I had a really, really good harvest. That could have been several of them, but we'll say Apollo. Good thing I prayed to him, or man, this wine is delicious. Dionysus, you're my boy. So unbeknownst to more ancient civilizations, it was all science based, right? Well, it rained because the weather pattern was fortuitous for grapes. Oh man, that wine tasted delicious because the sugar content was good. The fermentation actually went well. Therefore, the harvest was good because the rain came down and the grapes were delicious. Therefore, the wine was good. But instead, it's because Zeus made it thunder. You had Apollo because he was really kick ass with the harvest. Dionysus because man, he brings the party. Therefore, it's all of these gods that did the things, right?
Okay, they all kind of have their hand in the pie.
Right. Different pies,
Yeah.
but in essence, the whole thing, right?
Yeah.
And I look at the Forsaken, it's not quite the same in that regard, where he didn't, pray to Lanfear to, whatever. But
maybe in the show we're seeing that though.
right.
We had the one warder pray to Ishmael and the other Forsaken to ward them off, right?
Yes. Kind of pray to them in reverse.
Right, like I offer you this sacrifice so that you stay away from me.
Right.
Yeah.
Reverse psychology, but nonetheless kind of the same. And you would also, if you're looking at the show's perspective at least, I would say if someone's praying against it, there's a good chance that there's also maybe cultists that are praying for them.
Praying for it. Oh, that's good psychology. I like that.
So
that's probably true.
In a show's perspective, again, this is show versus book here, guys. So from the show's perspective, that could lead to a lot of interesting battles where they don't necessarily have to have Megatronics,
right?
CGI money, all that kind of extra. They can just have humans.
Battles of wits.
Yep, or battles of humans. That makes it a little easier.
Yeah.
So that's a possibility. Possibility. Again, I don't have the shows anything, so I have no clue. But
I would like to say real quick, one of the things the show has done better, and I might get haters for this, but one of the things I really think they did better is you can see why people are drawn to the shadow. They feel that the world is rigid and it just goes on, and there's no escape from these terrible torments that just average everyday people in this world have to face. Like any person you meet might try to slit your wrists to get your coin purse in this world.
Yep.
Like you have to trust your neighbors, and everyone besides whatever you consider neighbor is a stranger, and strangers are dangerous.
Yep. So stranger danger.
Yeah, there you go. So they did very well illustrating the dark friend that Rand encounters. That's basically what she said. She said the world is a terrible place.
Yep.
Like this is, the dragon's not going to make it better. He never has. So.
Yep.
Interesting.
Well, the interesting fact about that too, Derek, and I'm going to piggyback if that's fine with you.
Oh, go for it. Yeah, go for it.
You can almost see it in the book as well. Like most people are just going about their lives and kind of like throwing it up like, I'm in this caste system pretty much. Nothing's going to change. I'm not actually going to be able to do anything. My kids are going to be, I'm a farmer. My kids are going to be farmers. My kids' kids are going to be farmers all the way down the line. So that's my lot in life.
Wow.
So.
That's deep, man.
Well, unfortunate truth. And, at least in the book. And the show, what I also dug that part was, again, flipping the role of the Dark One being the good guy for these individuals.
Right.
Saying he's going to bring, or it will bring a change.
Right.
And his disciples are the ones that are going to bring about the change. He may be like the leader, but these are his generals. I don't want to be a bartender doing crazy stuff forever. I don't really care about this. I want my children's life to be better, so therefore, bring the end. It's fine by me. And the end could just be a new beginning, right?
Yeah,
it's the wheel.
And that's how they see it.
Yep.
That's very interesting.
And I would say that would be almost it may not have been depicted in the book, but I would think that it would be very similar feelings in the book as well.
Yeah,
Of despair, of
mm,
sadness, of
yeah.
what's my lot in life, and does it really
Mm.
matter? Sure, I'll just go around doing my thing, but it's just my thing. And what can make it better?
I think that in the book, what you see in Dark Friends is you do see a lot of like self-interested people, but we don't know why they arrived at those conclusions or how they got there.
Right.
That's the one thing that's really lacking. But yeah, I
But
agree
it
with
did.
you.
But you know what?
I do agree with. Let me just say, I do
Yeah, yeah.
agree with you that it would fit. That this would be the rationale. It's like these are people that are maybe more nihilistic in the book. Like maybe these are the people that really understand. Well, I'm just going to be reborn again eventually. Like, what does it matter?
Right.
Like, I mean, and that's their point of view, right? Not,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, yeah.
And the kicker is, we've been talking about this since the beginning of the show. It's all about perspective, right?
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, I'm not knocking Robert Jordan, because that's not what I'm saying. And I don't think that's where you're coming from either, where that part
Nope.
is lacking in the show or in the book.
Right.
It's irrelevant to the narrative of the book,
I agree.
because the perspective is from the growth of the
The
dragon.
good guys. Yes, exactly. Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't matter how Lanfair became who she is.
Right.
Asmodean, whatever he was before, it doesn't really matter. The end point does, because we're coming to the endish. So,
Without further ado.
yeah, I'm going to say it. So, in alphabetical order, for the most part. I'm going to mention the 12 gods. I don't actually think, as much as we've compared them, I don't know if we've actually gone through the whole pantheon and actually saying, these are them.
Not yet.
Yeah, I was going to say as a whole.
This is a different game we're playing today.
Yes.
Because on our show we look for mythology characters at large. Like sometimes it's just like if you're reading a book and you're like, oh, the main character of this book just met a young lady that's walking through the forest, and she's wearing a red cloak and she's on her way to give food to her grandma. You don't also need the big bad wolf to show up to know that, oh, that's Little Red Riding Hood, or
Right.
a version of her, right?
Yep.
So we see those connections very strongly too. This is a little bit of a departure from that. We see, like, well, it's not a coincidence that he made Forsaken 13, and then you have 12, maybe sometimes 13, a baker's dozen of Olympian gods, let's say.
Mhm.
So we find that very interesting.
Today's a straight numbers game.
So yeah, so if you wanted to list out the Olympian gods in more or less alphabetical order so that people know what we're playing with, I'm gonna go one at a time in reverse order of what I see on wheeloftimefandom.com.
Giving them a
Their
shout out
wiki.
because they helped us out.
Yeah, so visit Wheel of Time wiki. They're a great resource. So go ahead.
All right. So Aphrodite, there's one. Apollo, Ares. And by the way, I think we've done Aphrodite once or twice, Apollo a couple times, Ares. I think we talked about him too.
We've talked to him a little bit.
Yep, a little. Artemis, Athena, Hades, Hephaestus, Hera, Hermes, Hestia, Poseidon, and Zeus. So you're like, wait, Theo, that's 12. Correct.
Yep.
And technically, you are correct. There's 12. So the little twist is where I said it's out of order a little bit. You have Hercules. So he's unofficial because he's technically a demigod, but Zeus made him a god. So he sometimes replaces Hestia. Sometimes.
Okay.
But she's a goddess. So I say sometimes, and you're like, out of all of them, I haven't heard of her that much. That's true. Technically, she's super important, but wasn't worshipped a lot. At least, not really. So I wouldn't say she was like the easy one to replace, but she was kind of the easy one to replace, even though everybody did kind of, especially females, worship her. So that's the little side note. Hence why we get the 13. Because I'm counting them, these 12 and Hercules. But like I said, that one's a little, I'd say even controversial. It's kind of a little iffy. But for our purposes, we're just going to change the rule a little bit and say there's 13. But yes, historically there is 12. So if people are like, no, there's 12. Yes, you're right. But like I said, I'm counting her as part of it. So there's my 12. Go for it, Derek. Go in semi-reverse order if you can. If not, because I threw a loop in there. But
no. We're gonna this will be. So here's the game. Mm-hmm. It's like I'm throwing out a dart. Theo's the dartboard. He's gonna try to catch the dart, so to speak.
I'm terrible at this game, by the way, guys.
It's not the dartboard's job to catch the dart, guys. So just keep that in mind.
Good, because I'll be missing a lot. That's okay.
As we're playing the game. Okay. So I'm just going to give you some facts, some background, and maybe we can find out which Olympian this Forsaken might be, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, interesting. Also, remember, the Forsaken refer to themselves as the Chosen.
Right.
So that's an interesting.
They don't see themselves as bad guys.
No, they see themselves as above humans. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So the first one we're going to start out is Moghedien. So Moghedien, she's considered the weakest in power of all of the Forsaken. She's considered the spider. Because she lurks in the shadows. She strikes from, distance or from behind the veil, so to speak. She's crafty. She's very smart, but she is pretty cowardly, I would say. She is a master of dreams. She is a master of planning ambushes and things like this. So her strategies tend to be attack from behind or through proxies. And she's so powerful in the dreaming world that when she confronted Nynaeve, she told her that she could turn her into a horse, and whenever she fell asleep and dreamt, she'd be stuck as a horse for the rest of her life every single time she goes to sleep. So any thoughts? I know there's a lot of Olympian gods that polymorph people.
Yep.
But so she has that ability. She can turn you into a horse. She can mess with your dreams. She's crafty. She's conniving. Does that land anywhere?
So there's actually a different person, I think, that Moghedien is. But that's okay. Not an Olympian.
All right.
Not an Olympian.
Not quite an Olympian. Well, however you want to roll with this, I'm fine with it.
So I would say probably Hestia. I wouldn't say she's the weakest. But she's kind of chill. She's got the domesticated thing. She did have an incident with a donkey. Not a bad incident. Like there was a dude trying to rape her, and the donkey chased him out. So it was a good horse story, I guess you could say.
Okay, I see.
Not some of the other bizarre stuff that we've gone through in the past.
I see.
Because for Moghedien, I would say it's more of the opposite effect. Because
that's a good point.
Because who I think it can't be.
Well, and let me just elaborate a little bit. Sometimes when you're doing like a parallel of a group of characters, instead of making a duplicate, you make an opposite.
Right.
So I'm just reminding everybody of that fact.
Or sometimes when you throw a dart on the board, I come up with something crazy, and it's like
that's fine too.
Oh.
Yeah, this is off the cuff today.
Yeah. Today, 100%. We're quizzing each other. It's not. Let's put it this way: Moghedien is not Zeus, not Poseidon, You could kind of make an argument for Poseidon because he's got the horses, but no, he doesn't do by proxy. He whoops that booty himself. It's not gonna be Hermes. I'll get back with Hera, maybe. Hephaestus, you could almost say that, but he's not really a warrior. He doesn't attack people, period. But he's a huge crafter, so you could almost say that.
I bet Hephaestus shows up in part 2.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give you that clue.
Yeah.
I could be wrong though.
Yeah. I would say, I wouldn't say Hades because he's a little more direct as well. I would, at least for me. Ares, straight god of war. Nope, he's going to be brutalizing you from the front. Apollo, he has nothing to fear. He's almost as powerful in terms of like skill set and the actual power of Zeus. So he has nothing to be scared of.
Right. Yeah, it wouldn't be any of the powerful Olympians, right?
Aphrodite, nah, that wouldn't be her either. Artemis, no. Again, she's if you go after her, she's gonna attack you from the front. She's not gonna scheme. So
she does have that nighttime thing though.
She's got the nighttime stuff, but again, if you're talking about attack and subterfuge, I wouldn't put it towards her.
I see.
So in terms of like power, I would say Hestia. But in terms of cunning, I would say Athena.
I like that.
In terms of like the jealousy and kind of the factor, in terms of like turning people into things because she's like jealous, so to speak, I would say Hera. But if you're talking about skill set and power, and by the way, and even in this one, Hercules wasn't even like a thought process because he is the most direct battering ram if you got one.
Right.
I wouldn't say all brawn and no brains, but it's pretty darn close to him. So I think she's kind of a mix of 3, but if I had to like go for one, I'd say Hestia. What you got? Right. What you thinking?
No, that sounds good. No, I'm gonna let you keep that.
All right.
Because I had a non-Olympian.
Oh man.
For her.
Yeah, Arachne.
And there you go.
Man, all right. Yeah, because that's the first thing I said is I actually have a different one for her. But yes, to me that would be a more 1-for-1.
That would be a more.
And by the way, we're going to do that as a show at one point anyway, so it's not really it's a spoiler for a future show.
So here we go. Number
2.
So counting backwards, number 12 or number 2, whatever. Yep. So this will be Grendel, an interesting name because that's the name of the monster in Beowulf. So that could be where the name comes from, sure, but let's take a look at this. So her previous name was called Cameral Maradim Nindar. Let's see. In the old tongue, her name means vessel of pleasure. Okay? Grendel is, she's among one of the strongest female channelers ever. However, she rarely attacks, but when she attacks, she's vicious. So, and she does come at you at the front. It's just she rarely comes at you. She's indulgent. She controls servants with the powers of with the one power by literally like wiping their minds. And she only picks the most interesting, beautiful people. Like usually it's the aristocracy, lords and ladies. And then she'll have them, serve her totally naked, and she'll have them perform various acts for entertainment. She's very sadistic. Okay.
Oh, hell yeah. I know who this is, by the way.
Okay. And she is jealous between Lanfear and her beauty. It's kind of like a contest, and Lanfear will have jet black hair, and Grendel will have blonde hair, like almost to make a point to be different. So, So you think you have enough? So
yeah.
I'll leave it there.
So
I'll throw in the last fact.
Go for it.
No, after what you say.
Oh,
Just in
okay.
case we need. Yeah, go
Just in
ahead.
case we need it. So this one's gonna be
Yeah.
hilarious. So I already know who Aphrodite is, so that's out.
Mm,
So I'm gonna throw everyone for another loop. So
okay.
there could almost be like 14 Olympians.
Oh, okay.
Dionysus
Mm. Oh.
kind of came from the east, so he's also kind of one of those. Eh. Yes, he's a son of Zeus, so therefore he should be kind of up there. But he's not always considered part of the pantheon because he's never really there. However, he's a chill dude. Likes to get his drink on, likes to get his party on. Would be a vessel of pleasure if you want to say that. Brings the pleasure to a lot of folks
Mm.
in different ways, if you would catch my drift. However, as we've approached him in the past and we brought up several examples of this, he is absolutely brutal if you cross him. He will
Oh,
screw
okay.
you, he will screw your family, he may even just screw your family and not you, and when I mean screw, he'll just obliterate them. Like shred them in from the inside out and then leave them chilling for you. And then you have to go through it, and then when you're like, oh no, and then he'll kill you too.
Oh my.
So
That sounds like Grendel.
yeah, so he's, I would say, yes.
You know
The
what
other
else they
one.
haven't.
Oh yeah, go
Well,
ahead, go
now that
ahead.
now that you said that, actually, I have to. You see, I didn't want to say this because I thought it might throw you for a loop, but with the direction you went in,
Mm.
Grendel is killed and reincarnated
Oh,
as
Dionysus.
there you go. Yeah, she gets a new name when she's reborn,
Of
but
course.
it's still her because they make a point to say it's still her because she has the same exact power. So
Yep.
yeah.
So
Okay, no, that's actually awesome. I didn't see where that was going, and I see Dionysus totally. But who's the other option? You were saying,
she's a little more aggressive. So that's
mm,
what doesn't quite fit. But Hera,
got it. Oh, okay.
super
Mm,
powerful, jealous,
mm,
does her thing. Doesn't usually attack because she's actually usually lawful, chaotic, I guess. But usually the people that she will attack are the extramarital folk of Zeus. She wouldn't go out of their way and be like, Derek, I'm gonna smite you just because I don't like gingers. She's not gonna do that. But yeah, if Zeus came after you, sorry, bro. So, but I think she's more Dionysus than Hera personally.
mm.
And if you're talking about gender, that's irrelevant.
Got it. Got it. No, no, for sure. No, absolutely. I agree with that. That can be mixed up in any kind of way,
Yep.
and that's fine. I have no problem with that. So let's see. The next Forsaken that we're gonna look at. Well, I'm gonna stick with the information I know really well um, to make this so it's not so crazy. So Masana, all right. So let's see. She used to be a school teacher originally. Okay, so she comes from a background as having knowledge. This is a school teacher during the Age of Legends. Okay, she she's more pretty than beautiful. It said. Uh, she occasionally changes her appearance to that of a shadow. I'm not sure how relevant that is here, though. She's hard-headed, practical, intelligent, and analytic.
Mm.
So she is an organizer, and she is the Forsaken that infiltrates the White Tower and cultivates the Black Aja. So and when she would meet with them, she would meet in, as this shadowy appearance with this booming voice kind of situation.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we have for her. So she kind of makes, she's like a master of infiltration, I guess, and corruption in a way. So not sure if that's gonna land, but I'm throwing it to you.
Athena.
All right.
So,
Okay.
if you're like interesting,
That is interesting.
so Athena's a warrior,
Mm.
so that works, sort of. But she is crazy smart.
Right.
In my opinion, what her teachers, I think they're smart. So
Mm.
I would say 1-for-1. Cunning, she's second to none. And obviously so is Messina. So I look at that and I say, who would, if you're transposing the Greek gods into Forsaken, who would be able to actually infiltrate the Black Tower or the White Tower,
The
and make
White
it
Tower.
and make it basically the Black Tower, right?
Yeah.
So you could almost say Apollo could probably do that too.
Mm.
But in terms of pure brain power and cunning and masterful battle tactics, beyond chess, we're talking like triple layer 3D chess pieces of galore. Who would be able to pull that kind of a game off? Like 20, 30 moves down the line in multiple places.
Mm.
I would pose my bet with Athena for that one.
That's a good one. Now, I thought if Athena might show up somewhere else, and
Could
that
be.
she could be split in half, or I could just be totally wrong.
Who are you thinking?
I really like your answer. I don't want to spoil it. So
No, not gonna spoil anything. Who you got? Who you got?
What I mean is, when we get to this Forsaken, I'm interested to see if Athena also comes to mind.
Okay. So you don't want to like spoil that part. Okay.
Yeah. All right.
Gotcha.
So I like your answer. So.
Oh, but you know who else it could be?
Mm.
Could be not Hermes, but Hades.
Oh, dude, I really like that answer.
So
The shadowy appearance.
yeah, and then he's also super cunning. He's not necessarily the tactician of Athena because he's a little more, I would say, aggressive. And when you know what he wants to be Zeus essentially. So, but in control of a lot of things, in control of like the earth and everything earthly, and underneath the ground. So what would he be able to do? He would be able to weave that thought into people's processes. And if you're talking about shadow figures and shadowy gods, that would be kind of like whispering in your ear kind of stuff versus talking to your face. He comes to mind too. Tactician-y and like thinking that far ahead to be like, yeah, maybe I'll implant that kind of thought process. I'd say Athena. If you're talking about maybe lies and cunning in terms of that kind of aspect, I wouldn't say betrayal because that sounds brutal. But technically he did some crazy stuff to Persephone. Kind of tricked her. So Hades could be a possibility for that one too.
I like that. So let's say possibly Athena, possibly Hades.
Mm-hmm.
So now we're going to move on to, let me see, 1, 2, 3. So this will be the fourth one on our list. We're crossed that halfway.
Not quite. Not quite.
Well, for today's episode.
Oh, today. Yeah. Good point.
So Semirage. Semirage is our next one. Not too much is known about Semirage, but I think enough. Okay? So Semirage is tall. She's very tall. She's imposingly tall and slender and cunning. She is also ruthless. But here's the biggest, most interesting thing that Semirage did, I think, for today's show. Semirage was the Forsaken that was hidden among the Shanshan. Semirage was probably the Forsaken that convinced the Sanshin that now was the time to come back and invade Randland. She manipulated the whole entire empire of Shanshin to do this. So, yeah, I'm guessing that's enough information. We don't really have much more for her, though, to be honest.
Man, so I got 3. So you're talking about Xiantian, you're talking about water, you're talking about cunning, aggressiveness, ruthlessness. There's a bunch that come to mind, but I would say Poseidon.
I like that answer, and as soon as you said water, I'm like, oh, I didn't think of that. That is excellent.
Now, subsequently, if you're talking about the cunning aspect and like the plotting, you could say Athena. Which I know now why you said, well, hold on.
Yeah.
But then I have one more so.
But
Athena's not super brutal though. All of her.
Am I getting this fact wrong? This comes to my brain. Correct me if I'm wrong. Now, Athena, whose side was she on during the Trojan War?
Troy, if I'm not mistaken.
You see, that's where I keep messing those facts up. So,
now, may have been Greece. Wait. Now you got me thinking, man.
Another time.
No, I gotta look it up. No, I gotta look it
go
up.
for it.
So, I think it was Greece, but I can't remember. But anyway, what I was gonna say is the wild horse that I was thinking of.
I have your answer. She did take the side of the Greeks. So
yeah,
I get a point.
Today. Yeah, you get a point. And I was about to say that too. You just beat me on the typing.
So going back.
Yeah. No, go ahead, bro.
I was just gonna say, so Semirij, being that she got the whole Shanshin Empire in another episode.
Yeah, with the Greeks and coming over and invading Randland would be the Greek side.
Yeah, and the Shanshin we discussed are the Achaeans.
Yep.
Because it's literally Achaeans scrambled up.
That's a good one. Which actually makes sense for one of those two because my wild card was Ares.
I like that though. Yeah.
Because he is brutal. He is
I like that.
A war dog. A dog of war, I guess you could say. Super brutal. Not super cunning. That part is a little lacking. But in terms of straight war and feeding off of war and all that kind of strife, which I think the Xiantian invading Randland would have probably, if we delved into that invasion a little bit more in the books, I think that would have been brutal.
For sure. Oh, for sure.
So he would have got a kick out of that.
I'm going to say Ares probably is on today's list.
Yeah. I agree. I said he's a wild horse.
Here's the clue. Even though Ares has all these powers and all this prowess, he always seems to go out like a punk.
Yep.
And you pointed that out, and I'm like, So someone on this list may fit that, but I don't want to lead you too much.
Yep, I know. I think I know, but I would actually say it's probably either Athena or Poseidon.
I like those answers.
And you can flick or potentially a little bit of both.
So, the next one needs no introduction. Ladies and gentlemen, Lanfear, the most powerful of the female Forsaken, and actually there's in the extended guide that you got me, by the way, for a birthday gift. Thank you.
You're welcome.
It lists,
which is also a good book, by the way.
It is, and it lists that she actually may be the most powerful Forsaken. She might be some fluke, because the female channelers are generally weaker than the male, but not always, and so she is incredibly powerful. She is insanely jealous of the Dragon Reborn, the women around him. When she finds out that Rand slept, or she believes that Rand slept, I forget where it is of the story, she goes ballistic and she annihilates, like, she just goes nuts, and she tries to kill Rand at that point. So, and at any rate, jealous,
Little bit.
strong,
Mm-hmm.
um, jealous of her man, and patient, and she has a crazy temper.
Mm-hmm.
So
Is that all I
I
need?
probably have said enough. Yeah.
So I got you with 3.
Oh, jeez. That's a surprise.
Yeah. One is really going to surprise you, so I'll keep it at the end.
Well, and the other is, I should add a little bit more because I was kind of leading you in one direction.
Oh, I already know who he is.
She's also known as the Moon Hunter, and some other stuff. So, if that helps or makes it worse.
So you're going to laugh at some of these, bro.
No, go ahead. Oh, she's a master of disguise. I always forget that last one.
So you have, actually now there's almost 4. But she's super beautiful, though.
And she's super beautiful.
So naturally you would think Aphrodite, right?
Possibly.
Because she is like off the chart.
Mm.
She basically started the Trojan War.
Mm.
She is insanely jealous of folks, but she can do what she wants because, hey, I'm Aphrodite. She's not super jealous of Hephaestus because that's her man, but he's like the deformed one, the crippled Olympian. So he's looked down upon anyway. She has a torrid affair with Ares, and it's like, whatever. Hephaestus, though, gets super pissed. But she can kind of do her thing. She's plotting. She is kind of jealous, in fact, of like others and their love life. So I wouldn't put her past her to go brutal.
I hear you.
Now, also crazy powerful. We're getting into some crazy powerful beings here, y'all. So you have Artemis.
Yeah.
Super crazy, never misses with the bow. Obviously, she's a I wouldn't say a warrior though, but she is brutal. She's a Vestial goddess, aka that means she doesn't get out very much, so to speak. Anybody that tries to get with her, you're demised. Not necessarily a jealous type because she has nothing to be jealous of, but nighttime.
Yeah, no, most definitely.
So the one who I actually think she is Hera. And you're gonna be like, whoa, because I have to do these 2 together.
I really like this answer, and this is actually the perfect. No, well, this is actually the perfect time for me to insert something.
Okay.
So go ahead.
So I'm gonna do these 2 together because they're always together.
Okay.
Is Zeus.
So she's like both.
Maybe you said to kind
or
of
just Zeus. Oh, you're saying or just
or Zeus.
Oh, I like that.
So
okay, let me hear it.
Hera, crazy jealous of her man Zeus, will be super ruthless and cunning to do what she needs to do.
Yeah.
Other side though, is actually pretty caring. Like in the opposite, that kind of like she's got a duality to her.
Well, when we see Lanfear as Selene, she is very caring.
Exactly.
When she's the younger woman and she's stuck in that alternate dimension with them, and she's telling them this is how you do this and that. And
yep.
Yeah.
Caring, thoughtful, not devastating.
I mean, it was an act,
but still.
Phil.
How much of all these gods' acts are just a face? So, Hera, crazy powerful. You just don't know it because her hubby is Zeus, who is like the big guy. But yeah, is he really defeated ever? No. But
well, here's the thing. Let me insert this now, dude. In the Wheel of Time, there is this meeting place that the Forsaken have, just like how they plot in Mount Olympus. But instead of being on a mountain, it is the world of dreams. They pick places in the world of dreams to meet, and in that way, the world of dreams is very much Mount Olympus.
Right.
So and probably also the underworld at the same time. And, as contradictory as that is. So, given that, Lanfear makes the statement, even though Moghedien has the most power in the World of Dreams, Lanfear makes the statement that the World of Dreams are hers.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Hera, wouldn't Olympus kind of be hers, right?
Yep.
So, or Zeus's, to
Right.
your point, right?
And when you said that, but sometimes a woman, due to fluke or whatever you want to call her, being possibly reborn over and over again,
Right.
is more powerful than almost everybody on the planet.
That would be Lanfear in this case he's talking about, yes.
Which could also be Zeus.
Could also be Zeus.
Because, to be honest, on a 1-to-1, I think Zeus would be able to take everybody. On a 1-to-1 level playing field, it would come down to 2. And I don't know who you want to mention next, but it's going to come down to Lanfear and a dude that starts with an M, I think. Later on in the book, of course.
I gotcha.
So it would come down to those two, and that'd be one hell of a battle with no tricks. No tricks, no ridiculousness. Just
like on
zapping
death
each other.
battle.
Yes.
Like a death battle.
Exactly.
Yeah, one-on-one. Oh, that'd be something to see. Oh, man, that would be crazy.
So looking from that perspective, I could see Lanfear being Zeus. Because I think without her little background, I think she might actually be the most powerful of them all.
And it is possible. Now, on the other hand, she is jealous and boastful.
Right.
And we know that she's boastful because it's alluded at that she doesn't look as good as she looks. She artificially enhances her looks.
Mm-hmm.
And what's interesting is we see her showing up as a youth, a middle-aged woman, and then an old crone, which, of course, we talk about that paralleling the phases of the moon, which she also is a parallel of, but we're not talking about that today.
Right.
So, I like that. I like that answer.
And guess who else is crazy boastful?
Who is that?
Zeus.
Yeah. No, good.
Arrogant to a fault.
Oh, yeah. Oh, most definitely.
And it's usually his boastfulness that gets him in trouble with Hera. Because he slips up at some point. Hera tricks him or tricks the other person. And all his plans in the background go for naught. But...
Well, this may not fit with your answers today, but I just will throw this out in case you bite it. She does die, and she comes back quite under someone's thumb. She's quite free before this, but on her resurrection, she very much has a
leash.
A leash on, so to speak.
Yeah.
So, all right. So let's move on then.
Yep.
2, 3, 4. So that was
6.
I think that was number 5.
Yeah,
today.
it's around 6.
1, 2, 3. Thank you for keeping track.
Yep.
So, here we go. So,
uh-oh.
Today we're going to talk about, let's see, Bilal. So, Bilal is a Forsaken. Used to be known as, this may or may not help, Durem Ladel Cham. Okay, probably not very helpful. But here's what he's known for. He's very strong in the one power, not the strongest, but that doesn't matter. Because, as a matter of fact, he's quite weak when it comes to the raw power, but that doesn't matter because he was still above most of the channelers of his age, or of the current age, I mean. And he really, this is what's interesting, he's a cunning manipulator, an exceedingly skilled general, and a blade master. So, and that, he's such a good blade master that offsets his relative weakness in the power. Like, he's probably the best swords master ever to have lived. I think that's how they're trying to portray him. But right before Rand goes to face him sword to sword, Maureen busts in the room and balefires him, and he goes out like a punk.
Yeah. Man, this one's tough. This one's tough. Because I think of two.
Go
Right?
for it.
So, on the one hand, well, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to say they're both. So, these two gods, they are male, are almost hand in hand. Not literally, but two peas in a pod. They always do stuff together. They do their mischief. So you have Hermes and Apollo.
Okay.
This definitely sounds like it wasn't exactly what you were thinking.
No.
So, and you're probably gonna say, well, why?
Oh, most definitely.
So, I know who you were thinking I was gonna say, and that would be Ares.
Oh yeah, that was my thought. But that's my naive thought, So
I thought it can't be that obvious.
it could
So the thing is, Apollo.
but these aren't like.
These aren't one for ones, and this isn't set in stone.
Well, and these aren't. You got to remember a lot. Most of the Forsaken don't get to be like main characters in the series because there are too many of them. So, like I'd say about 5 or 6 are kind of fodder. Like they're there just to be pins put up to be knocked down.
Right.
So we don't get to know much about them.
No. And again, it's from a different perspective, right?
Right.
Don't need to know.
So whatever you say here, I'm interested in hearing it to the point.
So Hermes.
That's my point.
I wouldn't say he's weak. I mean, I wouldn't say any of these guys are weak, but his skill set is cunning, mischief, doing things around the side, doing things obviously quickly because he's fast. Messenger. I wouldn't say he's the route runner, but that part. But is he that skilled at war? No, so you got part of it. You have Apollo, who is pretty damn powerful, so that doesn't quite fit either. But probably given any weapon, I would say Apollo would know how to use it. Yes, the bow is his thing, but that's his thing. But he is so mega skilled, he could learn whatever he wanted to do. That's his knowledge set. And remember when I said something about Ares before? Yes, he tends to, I don't want to say be a coward when it comes to it, but he's never in the forefront of the war.
Right.
He's always plotting from the back end and getting his strength from the strife that everybody gets.
From the conflict, right?
So, yes, he is the epitome of war. He is war. Like if you're talking about, I would say like the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse.
Yeah,
He's one of them. But he's actually crazy ass powerful. So it's just how he chooses to use it, because we as humans don't want war. He's he's one of the gods you don't want.
I'm thinking that there's probably a better fit for Ares now that you cleared my thought process when you said he's really more about wars and strife, right? Conflicts. Okay.
So, as a blade master, that would be him hands down, because that is his spiel, right? He's master of war.
Yeah. Right.
Kind of going out, he doesn't really go out. He just kind of is like, oh, I got what I needed out of this. Deuces. You're dead. All right. So, too bad, so sad. On to the next one. So, it's not that he actually gets punked.
Well, gets trapped. He gets trapped at one point.
He gets trapped, but he's just like, oh well. And he's just, that's his thing, though. He'll lead you up to that precipice, gets what he needs out of it, jets. Doesn't matter really who wins or loses. I wouldn't think. It's what he gets out of it. So he actually doesn't ever lose if you look at it from that perspective, because he always wins. Because war is the name of the game.
Yeah, I think I get what you're saying.
Now, yes, if you're looking for like Trojans versus Greeks, you could say losers or victors. You could kind of say that, but technically, since they weren't really supposed to be involved, they just kind of threw their little spark into the mix and kind of stir the pot a little bit. That's kind of what he does. And he's like, he'll stir that pot, get into a whirlwind, and it's like steps back and says, "Hey, I caused some craziness. Peace."
So we might have Bilal might be some kind of odd character, like an amalgamation or something like that, or maybe there's not a very direct parallel.
Or, I mean, like you said, it could be Ares. I mean, I was going for the non-traditional approach. But
gotcha. Or he could be. I got you.
Yeah. Again, would you be able to Bellfire Apollo or Hermes? Well, Hermes, I don't know if you would catch the flash. So, maybe.
Yeah, he'd just dodge it. So.
Yep. And Apollo would probably just be like, sorry, bro. And just absorb it and shoot it. Yeah, it'd be like, Yoda and just... And then shoot it back at you because that's Apollo. Who would potentially get blasted by it? Ares, because he'd probably try to, chop it.
Oh, yeah.
And it's wailing his, swords and stuff. So, I mean, I could see that actually happening to him.
I see what you mean.
I said,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, you could take tit for tat on that one. I was going for a non-traditional approach, but yeah, Ares would probably be where you were going for. But...
Yeah, but,
it's all good. The show's for fun anyway.
Let me give everyone a hint. I think next episode we'll identify Hermes.
Yeah.
Okay. I think next episode we'll identify Hephaestus. You probably didn't know that. And given what you said, I bet you're gonna tell me someone's Ares. So and then, of course, there's someone on this list that everyone's like, well, you're gonna say he's Zeus. I don't know. I actually, with your insight, I bet we're gonna surprise our audience with a few thoughtful points, insightful points that will make you think. So I liked your answers today. That was a lot of fun. I guess everyone, please like and subscribe, share. Stay tuned next week as we finish with the final 7 Forsaken.
Cool.
And the next one on the list, so that everyone can be on the edge of their seats, will be Asmodean. And to get Theo thinking, don't say a thing, Theo, but Asmodean in the Age of Legends was a musician and a composer. So I'm just going to stop right there. He loves to play the harp.
I wonder who that could maybe be.
Yeah, exactly. So stay tuned and find out. Thank you, everybody, for joining in.